What is a money mule? A money mule is someone that's used by criminals for money laundering. It goes like this. A scam artist or a group of criminals rob people, whether it's through phishing or through some other means. The money, they need to find a way to make it untraceable for the authorities. They do it like this. You receive, for example, 2,000 euros on your bank account. And then you ask, why did I receive these 2,000 euros? Then someone calls you and tells you, well, this money was transferred to you the wrong way. It should have gone to another bank account, but please, could you help us correct this by transferring to this and this account? And because you cooperate, you can keep 10%. That means 200 euros. So you think, okay, I don't know where this money comes from. Probably indeed it was transferred to the wrong account, so why wouldn't I help transfer to the right account? And I can keep a part of the money. Later, the police arrives at your door and you're arrested for complying with fraud. Why? Because the one that sent you the money was a criminal organization and you helped them with money laundering. Because now the money is transferred to a bank account in another country, and from the bank account in another country, they transfer it again to another bank, and that's how it becomes untraceable to the authorities, because it becomes too difficult for authorities to check all the bank accounts it went through. And sometimes they withdraw the money in cash and then they put it on another account. So when they withdraw it in cash and put it on another account, it becomes more untraceable. Because if it's 2,000 euros, or let me say 1,800 euros, and they pull it out of the ATM and they divide it in 5 bank accounts, then how are we going to trace it? In any way, they need someone to comply with them for the money laundering. Sometimes, this happens to young people, you have guys from the street ask you, can we borrow your bank account? They may tell you something like, my salary is coming very soon and my bank account is blocked. I need the bank account. So you think, okay, you can borrow my account for you to get your salary. And after you get your salary, just pay your stuff and I don't want to have your salary again. But it's not a salary at all. It's criminal money. Or some will tell you plain out that it's criminal money and that you will get a fee if you comply. In any case, you are being used. Your bank account is being used to divert attention away from the scam artists or from the criminals. It's by law forbidden to borrow your bank accounts to anyone out there. If you do that and other individual takes advantage of it in a criminal way, you'll be prosecuted also. This money muling business that happens daily is something that criminals got from the paranormal. Because a similar thing happens in the paranormal also. It goes like this. You have one guy who is a devil worshipper. He wants to make 5 million euros. Let's say that's a demonic contract he made. Now, the demonic contract forms a bubble around him that makes it easy for him to succeed in business. However, there are plagues and sorrows following the money he gains, and he knows this. So, what does this devil worshipper do? When he starts his own business, or let's say he starts several businesses, he hires people to work in those businesses. Which is legal, nothing wrong with it. But here's the thing. He makes sure that those that work in his businesses are tired, stressed out, and exhausted by constant work over hours. Or by being very harsh to them when they're at the workplace. Or he tells the manager to be harsh towards the people. Why? Because the employees now become stressed out, they become wounded spiritually, and when they're spiritually wounded, it's easier for demons to have access to them. So why would the devil worshipper want this? Because let's say after 4 or 6 years, when the plagues come, he can now, because those people are invested in his business, and by being invested in his business, they are partakers of the paranormal flow of cash that he's involved in, even though the employees did not make a demonic contract. They may not even be involved in paranormal directly, because they are part of his business or businesses. They're also stakeholders now in the paranormal cash flow, whether they want it or not. And because they're part of the paranormal cash flow and they're spiritually wounded, so they're extra vulnerable to evil spirits, now the devil worshipper can transfer those curses, or rather those plagues and sorrows, onto his employees. It goes like this. Let's say you have Marianne. She's working as a manager at some insurance company. Within 8 months, she's promoted to supervisor. Very quickly. She thought, how could this be? Normally it takes 3 years for you to be promoted to something like that. She was promoted within 8 months. And her salary went up. But she had to work extra hours. But she thought, why wouldn't I? Within 2 years after her promotion to supervisor, breast cancer is developed in her body. And she also has multiple migraines on a day. What happened here? The owner of that business, who's in a demonic contract, transferred one of the plagues onto her. For that to happen, she had to accept the transaction. She did not accept the transaction by willingly becoming the victim so that the owner of the business could escape consequences of his actions. She probably wouldn't even want to work at a place if she knew what was behind the business. She was not aware what was behind the business, so she didn't willingly comply with the transaction. But she nevertheless complied and agreed with the transaction by accepting the promotion without asking proper questions. The promotion was unusual. And this unusual promotion was out of line for the business. Her salary went from 1,800 euros a month to 3,400 euros within 8 months. They told her she does a great job, but still, it was quite unusual. And somewhere she felt like it was too good to be true. But because she was overwhelmed by the monetary reward and the psychological effect of the promotion, she didn't pay attention to her inner radar. Because she did not pay attention to her inner radar, and she got along with the danger by ignoring it, that's how she opened up herself to the victimization. Now, it's not her fault that she was victimized like that, no. But somewhere, she should have taken responsibility to ask constructive questions about the situation. Now, I'm not saying now that if you're promoted on a job or somewhere that it's a trap. But often in the world, it is. Just think about it. If you have a business and it's a time of economic recession, why would they promote someone and spend so much money on just an employee instead of investing it in other stuff? A normal businessman wouldn't do it. That's why you can see that it's a trap. But a lot of folks, when they are promoted, they don't ask constructive questions. Why? Because when you're promoted and things are going well, at least from your perspective, why would you question things? That's how many people become the psychic mules for the plagues and sorrows that devil worshippers want to escape. That's why you may have a family and things going well with the family. The husband and wife both have a well-paying job, children doing well in school, and suddenly one of the parents died in a horrible car accident. Or one of the children develops a terminal sickness. Just like that. And then people look at the situation and think, why did this happen to this family? Here's why it happened. They become the victim of a devil worshipper that transferred their curses onto them. For curses to be transferred onto you, you must be in a frequency of negativity. You cannot be in a frequency of positivity and curses are transferred onto you. That cannot happen. You must be in sorrow, you must be in bitterness, or you must be in worrying, or you must be in some type of self-doubt. You must be on some frequency of negativity for the toxicity to be able to be transferred successfully onto you. Because if you're on a frequency of positivity, it will not work. So that happens often with families out there. That sudden tragedy overcomes them. But when you look at the situation carefully, when did the tragedy happen? You see that it happened after a season of intense prosperity. That's why when suddenly things work out easily for someone, without much resistance, pay close attention. Examine to see whether it's from Christ or not. If it's not from God, it means it's a trap. And it's not only devil worshippers that own corporations that do this. You have common pagans who are bad people, because you also have pagans who are bad people. You have many pagans that want to do good, but you also have pagans that do bad. There are pagans out there, that means warlocks or witches, when they conducted their spells and the charm is about to expire, because you conduct your spell and the charm is there and the charm after a while expires. When the charms are about to expire, the energetic bubble will pop, or it will burst, and when this happens, tragedies and sorrows will overcome them. So what do? Just before the charm is about to expire, they look for someone to transfer the negative weight onto. It can be that you have a best friend who has been your best friend since high school. You've been talking with each other about everything, and now suddenly she stopped talking to you. She began to decline your phone call. Because you're both adults, you think, okay, maybe she has a boyfriend now and she's more interested in spending time with him, or maybe she has problems at the job. So you think, okay, she's always been kind to me, things have always gone well, so I'm going to give it a pass. But you realize that since she stopped talking to you, you have more financial difficulties, or you have marriage issues, or you have many almost accidents when you're outside. It can be that you're often almost hit by a car, while before that you never had such things. So you notice that bad things start happening to you. And then you look at the timing, it's after this best friend stopped talking to you, or it's in the beginning when this best friend stopped talking to you, that suddenly those bad stuff began to happen. And now when you check her social media or you ask for her, she's doing well. And she doesn't even want to talk to you. You notice this because she can answer everyone else's phone calls except yours. What happened? This witch used you to escape the consequences of the charm, namely the sorrows that will follow. Because of this, she made sure you were stressed out. Before, and while you were stressed out, she could easily transfer all the weight onto you. That's why, before she stopped talking to you, she would often call you and complain about some ex-boyfriend. And you were empathic towards her, you had empathy, and you listened to her. What she was really doing was she was wearing you out with her complaints about her ex-boyfriend, so that you would be stressed out. And while you were stressed out for those 2 or 3 days, it's during those days that she transferred the weight onto you. And when she realized that, the weight has been transferred, and she noticed bad stuff were going on with you, she moved away. You have men doing this also. Warlocks do this to escape the consequences of their charms. So listen to me, believer. Do not walk like fools. Do not be naive when it comes to dealing with people in this world. When you're working somewhere, because many of you still have full-time jobs, or you still are performing labor in exchange for a paycheck, when you work somewhere, check the place where you work. If it's something small like a cafe, ask yourself, who are the owners? What type of people are they? If you work at some insurance company, ask yourself, who are the ultimate beneficial owners of that corporation or that company? What type of people are they? Are they Freemasons? Are they involved in devil worship. Now, if they're involved in devil worship and you work there, do your job, that doesn't mean that automatically you might become a psychic mule. But then you at least know that such things may happen. Ask yourself who you're working for. Too many of us, we just want a job in order to pay rent and to pay our bills. We're so focused on paying bills and paying rent, and there's nothing wrong with paying bills and paying rent on time, but you're not born to just pay rent and pay bills and then you die. Okay? But a lot of people, they think like that. It's all about doing their job well so that they can pay rent. They are in survival mode. And in the survival mode, they don't pay close attention to what's going on around them. If you work for, I don't care if it's a big corporation or a small business, I don't care where it is, if you work somewhere and suddenly you develop sickness in your body that you did not have before you worked there, I don't think it automatically has to do with your employer. It can be something else, but look at the context. Let's say you stay home for a few days, and during the days that you stay home, suddenly you don't have any sickness anymore. And when you begin to work again, suddenly after 2 days, you have the same sickness. Then you know that there's something wrong with the business. Somewhere, someone is transferring energetic waste onto you. It may not be your employer directly, but maybe a family member or someone who invested in the business. Because that's what happens in this world. People are not just exploited through labor, they're also exploited spiritually. That's why also pay attention to the people that you're involved with. Because you're not only involved with believers, you're also involved with some unbelievers. Pay attention to them. If you're involved with someone and they're only complaining all the time, never looking for solutions, now it can be that they are someone that needs deliverance. That's why they need some space in order to recover. That can be the case. If that's the case, that's the case. In that case, there's nothing bad in the relationship itself, but there's something wrong with the individual that needs help. But if someone, year after year, persists in the same patterns, and they're not even all the solutions, it can be that either that individual is involved in paranormal activity and that sooner or later they'll transfer some energetic waste onto you, or they can be used by demons directly to transfer waste onto you, and then sooner or later when you develop the plagues, that individual will be gone. Do not be fools in this world, believers. Beware who you work for, and beware who you do business with. Some people are not interested in money. They're just interested in transferring curses from them onto you. Just think about this. If someone wants to do business with you and they're willing to make sure you benefit a lot from the business, and you realize that, okay, in this business deal, I benefit more than they do. It's their initiative, but I benefit far more than them. Then ask yourself why. No businessman in this world will come up with a plan in which you benefit more than them. Why? If that happens, either they are a very, very illiterate businessman, that may be the case sometimes, or it's a trap. The individual is not interested in making money. The individual is interested in losing toxicity. And that's why they're willing to lose money as long as it means that they'll be safe from the toxicity that will haunt them. So, always look at the context and the timing. It can be, for example, that let's say you had debt collectors haunting you. And after a while, when you kept on praying, decreeing, and declaring, none of the debt collectors are there anymore. What happens? Those debt collectors were part of a cult that wanted to stop you from doing God's will, because they noticed your impact on the community. And because they worship demons, they want to stop your influence. That's why they began to haunt you with threats through mail and through the telephone, just to put you in a frequency of anxiety, which is a frequency of negativity, so that now that you're in this anxiety, they can now transfer the darkness onto you. And before you know it, you'll get sick, or you end up homeless, or whatever. Because it didn't work out and things backfired, now they don't even want to talk about you. Now they stopped sending you messages. This is also something you need to pay attention to. When you break through and you're freed from some bondage, and you know that some people just can't talk to you anymore, then either they were used by demons to keep you in bondage, or they were investors in your doom themselves. Some people only want to be friends with you so that they can transfer their toxicity onto you, so they can get relief. You have such people out there. You also have them in churches. So, beware who you work for and beware who you do business with. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.